So it feels like we are rapidly moving towards what seems to be the pointy end of the next Battlefield game's reveal window if the leaks, news, speculation, and just general community discourse is anything to go by. While we've heard nothing officially yet, there's a lot of speculation around events, reveals, beta periods. Just now, at the time of writing this video, DICE have dropped a tweet that speaks to the open beta directly and how they're planning on handling testing this time around, which again tells me that we are just around the corner to getting our hands on whatever this next Battlefield game is going to be. It's a lot to take in. And as someone who is a long-time fan of this franchise, an avid FPS gamer, and a content creator, it's both an exciting and nerve-wracking time. Despite DICE's recent track record, there is nothing I want more than a Battlefield game that comes out and returns to form, takes us back to the golden era of the Battlefield 3 and 4 days, and maybe, just maybe, brings that little kid in me back out. And look, I get it. It is super easy to be pessimistic about all of this and go down the doomer path based on the history we've had. But I actually want to go against the flow with this video today and posit that maybe, just maybe, we are seeing a new era of DICE begin to emerge here before our very eyes. Almost the turning of a new leaf that may lead to the renaissance of the Battlefield franchise that we've been so desperately looking for. And I'll be real folks, this video has been kind of reinforced by that aforementioned tweet that DICE dropped today. Allow me to elaborate, and a quick history lesson for those who are out of the loop here. Over the last couple of months, the Battlefield development team have been dropping a bunch of info on how the class system is going to work in the upcoming title, outlining how rigid or flexible the system is going to be, what you'll be able to change, and what features the developers are implementing that will give each class a strong identity. Now, I'll be honest, I'm actually one of those people that liked the majority of what was laid out with a couple of minor exceptions. I'm not going to go into all the deets in this video, but I will leave the relevant links in the description for those who want to read up on all the goss. But yeah, there was a lot to be revealed in those posts, but DICE, in true DICE fashion, just had to drop that one little controversial nugget of information in there by stating that weapons were not going to be hard-locked to the classes in this game. Every class would instead have a signature weapon category that would grant bonuses to its performance when you used it in tandem with the intended class, but you could also, say, run an LMG on Assault, a sniper on Engineer, or an AR on Recon if you wish to do so. And as you would expect, this sent the Battlefield community into an absolute headspin. Many took the "this game is now dead on arrival" approach and took doom posting on Reddit. Personally, I thought it was a bit of an overreaction on many people's part, but that's neither here nor there. It didn't help when DICE doubled down in their follow-up post talking about the class system. I mean, talk about throwing yourself out of the frying pan and into the fire, right? I've said some controversial things on the internet. I would have never had the balls to hit the post button on that article there. Just wouldn't have the guts for it. Anyway, again, that's not the point. That's just the background which leads to the crux of this whole video here. The official Battlefield account dropped this cheeky little tweet today that to me is incredibly important. Open weapons versus closed weapons. Why not both? Starting at open beta, players can choose official playlists with signature weapons locked to a class or not. More to come. This represents a couple of very important things here that need to be discussed in my opinion. For one, DICE are talking about open betas for the game before the game's trailers have even dropped, which tells me that we may actually have an opportunity to get our mitts on this game way sooner than we may expect. And two, DICE has put their money where their mouths are and given the community an opportunity to physically test the game under both setups, under their vision and under the community's vision, of which they will then use to help guide the direction of the game's final design decision. DICE, for the first time in a very long time, at least to my knowledge, is using the Battlefield beta, the open beta mind you, as a means to do exactly what you should be doing with a beta. Testing shit. It's not meant to be this arbitrary, let's try and get some last minute pre-orders through the door and get people hooked with our game. It's an opportunity to test gameplay design, quality assurance, and overall polish to work out what gaps need to be filled prior to launch. And this is DICE taking an opportunity to test at scale whether their original vision or the cries of the community are the best way forward for this game. There's no guesswork, no shoulda, coulda, woulda, no screw you guys, this is the way it is. It's an actual test of design that could have insane implications depending on the outcome. I fucking love this. This is such a departure from the kind of direction I would expect to see DICE take with this. Once we saw the double down from them in that second article about the class system, I really thought that was it, quite frankly. And to be clear, I was willing to give the game a chance regardless of that decision. But to see this kind of response and the kind of flexibility from this team, it's really got me thinking about Battlefield and just how we may have a chance with this release. You see, folks, I've been watching the discourse from DICE quite carefully this time around, and I really do feel like there's been quite the shift in the communique by comparison to the likes that we got ahead of Battlefield 2042. 2042 was locked away as a pretty tight secret for a very long time. We got the odd leak from Tom Henderson and the marketing buzzwords from Andrew Wilson at earnings calls that talked to all of the mad stuff they were doing with the game, but there was nothing hands or even eyes on until the trailers started to drop within that sort of mid-year hype cycle that we tend to see for games. And then further to that, we had to wait till the open beta dropped in early October ahead of its mid-November launch window to actually get our hands on it for the first time. At that point, you could kind of tell that the beta build was very reflective of what we were going to get at launch, despite the messaging that, oh, no guys, don't worry, it's an old build. The current version of the game is way better. You guys remember that shit? Yeah, look, it was all a very corporate situation. It was very AAA, it was very rigid, as though the beta was more of a marketing tool than an actual testing ground, as one would expect from AAA game devs these days, quite frankly. Betas, more often than not, are just a selling point. But I don't know, this time around, we've had constant development posts that go into pretty good levels of detail behind a lot of the design decisions, the goals, and the progress that's being made on the upcoming Battlefield game. We've seen them lay out their intentions with key design decisions, tell us why they're making them, even if they may be unpopular decisions, and then most importantly, as has been proven by today, they've opened the conversation up with the community to have a material impact on the outcome of those decisions. And all very early in the proverbial timeline as well. We know that the work within the Battlefield Labs environment has been extensive and represents likely one of the longest and earliest testing windows that members of the community have ever had with a Battlefield game. Unintentionally, but also ultimately, we've seen leaks of this testing environment that have given us a pretty good idea of how the game is shaping up even in its earliest of states. And look, truth be told, it looks like a far improvement over what we got at launch for Battlefield 2042. Looks can be deceiving, I get it, but the fact that all of this is happening and the fact that the game has been making its way into the hands of gamers for first-hand player testing, of which appears to also be having an impact on the decisions being made in its design, is massive. This new, almost what feels like a refreshed DICE, really seems to be putting the transparency and the player-driven priorities back at the helm of this Battlefield. Battlefield 2042 and all of its groundbreaking quote-unquote flagship features all looked great in marketing material, but held no proper value to the end product of the gameplay loop. Meanwhile, all of the jargon and all of the talking points so far in this lead-up have been those on critical gameplay elements that players care about. And that to me is super important. I'm not one to hold a grudge. Yes, Battlefield has hurt me something fierce over the years, but I just want to enjoy a Battlefield game again and see this franchise have its Phoenix Rising moment. I really want to jump at the opportunity that comes from a good Battlefield game at release, as someone who's been working on their content game for over a decade now and feels like they're ready to tackle a AAA game like this. I also just want to enjoy a good, well-designed, polished, combined arms FPS experience again that is authentic but doesn't take itself too seriously either, as a gamer, removing the content arm from that as well. I really just hope that we see that happening with whatever DICE is cooking up right now. And all I'll say is that the comparison in communique and what we've been seeing from them in the lead up by comparison to what happened with Battlefield 2042 points to good signs for me personally. And I might be huffing a mad amount of copium here, but I'm willing to do that in the hopes that we might just get something good. With that said, folks, that wraps up today's little ramble sesh on the state of the world for Battlefield and what we've got coming up here. If you guys enjoyed the video, of course, be sure to backhand the like button. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. And as always, subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot of Battlefield content the moment we can get our hands on this game. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that. But until next time, guys, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out and have a good one, folks. Take care.